To film school or not to film school? That is the question. Or it might be if you're interested in becoming a filmmaker, and it doesn't have an easy answer.
Yo, what up guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be talking about a topic that I've done a lot of research on over the past few years. Is essentially talking about my decision to go to film school. I know a lot of people make these videos and they try to convince us that you don't necessarily need to go to film school to become a filmmaker. But as someone who's had this dream ever since I was a little child, I've realized the amount of time that I've spent trying to learn a lot of things by myself and how much time I've lost in that period of time, and how much a lot of time could have been avoided if I had just attended film school. One of the biggest drawbacks for film school is just essentially the cost. So let's get into it.
Some filmmakers like Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, and George Lucas attended film school and have thrived making feature films. On the other hand, James Cameron and Steven Soderbergh have both won Academy Awards for Best Director without ever attending a single class. Everyone's experience is going to be different, but there are some things that you can generally expect to get from going to film school. And with some careful consideration, you might be able to chart a course that's right for you and emerge as the next big.
So over the past few years, I've debated on the need of film school. A lot of people say you don't need it. You can learn from YouTube. The best filmmakers never went to film school, guys like Christopher Nolan, Scorsese, etc. But often the guys I look up to did go to school, guys like Ryan Coogler, the Russo brothers. And the one thing that I like about most of the directors that went to film school is how young they look. So when you look at a guy like Ryan Coogler, he looks fairly young. You know, the man is in his 30s, and the amount of work that he's been able to produce, it's something that I, as a young and upcoming content creator, wish for. You know, the concept of don't go to school, learn by yourself is great. You know, there are websites such as No Film School that have great resources. But one of the challenges that I've faced is A, I couldn't afford going to film school, and B, I couldn't afford equipment, and C, there's just no place to learn. You know, like I got into the film industry to learn, but there's a lot of bottleneck once you try to get in. There's, you know, it's the old boys club. It's who do you know? It's a lot of complications that stop you from learning. And it's not that people don't want to teach you, it's just everybody's there to make money to feed their families. And here you are coming, hey, I want to learn how to be a director. It's like, yeah, buddy, we all wish we could. And there's just a lot of barriers, and there's a lot of weird mindset that comes with different departments in different things. My ambition has never been like, I've never been the type of guy to say, I want to work in locations. This is my ambition. Or I want to work in, call it what, costumes. Like, I don't have an ambition to do costumes. I don't have an ambition to be a production designer. I don't have the ambition to be an editor. I don't have my ambition from day one has always been to be a storyteller, writer, director. That's something that I want to be. And in order to achieve this, I've realized the amount of work that has to go into learning about the craft and also into executing, because the best way to learn the craft is by doing. And for me, one thing that I value the most is time. The amount of time that it would take for me to learn, you know, what you learn in film school. When you look at, let's say, a 4-year program, let's say a 1-year program, it's essentially what you learn in 1 year. It can take you 10 years out of film school to learn it, right? So for me, that's been one of the major factors.
The later one. So what does film school really get you? First and foremost, time. School gives you the time to focus on the craft of filmmaking in a structured environment. Time to fail, learn from your mistakes, and try again. And time to experiment and find your artistic voice while you're given critical feedback from teachers and your fellow students. Depending on where you go, film school might also let you move closer to a filmmaking hub, be it New York or Los Angeles, or even Chicago, Atlanta, or Austin. Just being close to the action can be a powerful motivator for aspiring filmmakers.
I've spent the past 3 years working hands-on in the film industry, and it took me 3 years to learn how to light up a podcast that I've been doing for 2 years. Film is a craft, and the one thing I've learned about crafts is you need someone to teach you how it's done, and then you create your own. YouTube is great, but often there's no one to help you ask with specific questions. If you watch my Sony A7C video and read the comments, you'll see someone who's trying to learn about the craft, but in the comment section, nobody cares that you are still in your learning phase, and all they do is ridicule rather than offer a solution or seek to understand what the problem is. You tend to find that we now live in a world where you have to create content every single day to improve, to become better. And my belief is by going to school, you'll be surrounded by people who are chasing the same thing, people who can who can see what you're making and critique you and help you develop it to become something, and you're in an environment to learn. Whilst learning by yourself, learning outside here, it's you're making mistakes, you're making stuff and trying to learn from those mistakes. If you try to find mentors, one of the challenges with mentors is these people, there's an overinflated, I call it an ego thing. Like I'm somebody who doesn't see themselves as becoming anyone's mentor, because when you start pursue things like having mentorship to do the thing that you want to do, a mentor is someone who's working on something that they're working on, so it's all about value creation and offering each other value and whatever. And yeah, they want to give back and they're there to answer some questions. But I just feel like when it comes to pursuing your dreams, you have to do anything by any means necessary. Listen, going to film school is not going to be cheap, but if I have to work 9 to 5, or if I have to work 12 to 12 to pay for it, I believe that's something worth doing, because the skills and that I come out of it and the relationships that I'll be able to build post film school will help me achieve what I need to achieve in the timelines that I've set.
Classes on film history, theory, and criticism will introduce you to films, filmmakers, film movements, and various ways to think critically about them. While courses on things like screenwriting, cinematography, directing, and editing will give you the skills and experience you'll need to produce your own films.
So yeah, once again, it's gonna cost me, and I'm in LA to attend the film school. It's a 1-year program that almost costs like $25K, and I have to find ways that I'll fund it. One of the ways that I'm actually gonna do it is through this channel and my other YouTube channels. I've realized with YouTube, it's a great platform to make money, but whilst making the money, I just don't want money to be able to buy myself equipment or buy myself, make my lifestyle better. I'm gonna invest it in myself. And part of that is going to school and learning more about production and learning more about creating quality content that benefits also the channel. So I'll be doubling down on the work that we're doing on these channels. I'll be doubling down on the work that I'm doing in terms of client work, just to enhance those skills. I truly hope these people don't waste my money. Don't waste my time though, because I'm coming in to learn from the best of the best to enhance the skills that I've learned by myself.
I'm in film school. It's expensive. Not only will you pay tuition, but you'll have to fund your own films. And don't forget, you might have to move to a bigger, pricier city to pursue your dreams. Not to mention, film is an exceptionally competitive industry that often depends on who you know and how good you are at your job. There's a lot of luck and timing mixed in with the tenacity, hard work, and talent required to succeed.
I'm not here to be like, hey, support. You know how people will be like, I'm opening up a GoFundMe for you to help pay for my education and for me to help you pursue my dreams. The best way that if you want to help me on this journey as I go to school, is subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment, help the algorithm boost these videos. I do believe the work will create enough revenue for me to be able to cover the costs that I need to cover. But if you are somebody who feels like you want to do more and help support a young brother on the come up, I'll leave my PayPal donation button. I'll open up a Patreon. The main goal for me with this thing is to learn the craft and just be able to create, because one of the challenges that you have as a script person is you can create a script, but to get it developed, to get it produced, there's just a lot of bottlenecks and there's a lot of people who are in control of these things. And for me, those are just barriers I want to break. I want to come up with ideas, develop concept, hire actors, get the ball rolling. I don't want to be a victim of set standards that already exist. Like you have to go to Hollywood, you have to find these people to fund you. If nobody's willing to do that, man, we're gonna do it by ourselves. We'll find the budgets, we'll find the money, we'll do the work to enhance it and tell stories that need to be told. Once these people see the traction, I'm pretty sure they want to get involved with us. But for right now, it's the power.
Is film school the right choice for you? I can't tell you that. But luckily, the person who can tell you is watching this video right now. It's you. I'm talking about you. Take some time and think about the environments in which you learn best, the communities you could build and be a part of, and what you can afford. And remember, whatever form your education takes, it's the work you do and the kind of collaborator you become.
So yeah, once again, if you have any spare change, you can donate it through my PayPal or Patreon. I do not know how I found this thing for now, but what I know is when the year ends, I will have the skills and ability to make my first feature and build from there and develop better videos for this YouTube channel and my other channels. I've often gotten advice which is like you should become a PA and join the industry and learn from there. My one problem with being a PA, if you've ever been on set, I know a lot of if you watch a lot of like directors when they're giving advice, they're like, yeah, I started as a PA. It's like, yeah, you started as a PA and then it took you 10 years before you became something. I don't have 10 years. I'm turning 30 this year, so I don't have 10 years. I have a family. I have things to take care of. I have bills to take care of. So I don't have 10 years to invest into learning a craft, you know. For me, I've given myself until the end of this year when I turn 30 to start my first feature. I've already started working on my first feature, like in terms of storylines and stuff. And I'm probably hoping to start production end of year, and hopefully by next year we'll have something, you know. I've been watching a lot of movies. I've been very disappointed in what's coming out because I know that I have better stories to tell, and I know that we can definitely compete. I'm not probably the best script writer or the best director that will be, but I want to give myself the most I want to give myself a better chance to compete with those who have access to resources that I do not have. And that's just if it means going to film school and learning everything I can about film. If it means, you know, just working as a PA, working on sets. I've done all of that, so I've gotten all the experience. But come end of year, we should be making something.
Many directors started out working as crew members on other people's films before making movies of their own. Alfred Hitchcock began as a title designer and worked his way up to directing classics like Psycho and Rear Window. Before dreaming up The Terminator, Aliens, Titanic, and Avatar, James Cameron got his start as a set painter for famous B-movie producer Roger Corman. Cameron reportedly mastered so many different skills that today his crew members talk about upping their own game because he can probably do their job at least as well as they can. This kind of apprenticeship approach was even built into the structure of some international film industries until fairly recently. Up until at least the 1980s in England, for example, most directors were obligated to put their time in as an assistant director before they were even given the chance to make their own films. In the 1990s, though, A-list directors like Quentin Tarantino and Steven Soderbergh took an entirely different path. Instead of apprenticing for other filmmakers, they both studied hundreds, if not thousands, of films on their own, with a focus and intensity most film students couldn't muster. Their feature film debuts, Reservoir Dogs and Sex, Lies, and Videotape, both display an incredible grasp of storytelling, film grammar, and tone at a level remarkable for self-taught directors.
Joining the crew, I have no qualms with being a PA, but my vision and age don't allow me the privilege of being humble and getting people tea. I respect people who go through this route, but why pay with time something you can pay for with money? I've already devoted 3 years of my life into the film industry. You know, this is one thing that I know guys like David Fincher was like, he worked as a electrician, he worked many roles, and now he knows when he's directing, all that helps. But the thing is, in an environment like a film school, you get to do all that. You get to work as a technician, but you're working in an environment that educates you and shows you what you need to do so that when you come out of it, you have the skills and you have the connections that you need to build something and have your crew and have people who work in the different fields. So for me, that's how I've justified it for myself. Like, oh, I think I actually need school. And as someone who has a master's degree in business, one thing that I can appreciate that I didn't appreciate when I went to school back then was essentially when I first went to school, I was going there for a piece of paper to get a job post-work and be able to pursue my dreams. But at this point in time, I'm going to school to get the skills. Like, I don't care about the paper. What I need is the skills, because I know once I have that, once I know how to position a camera, once I know what to do with lighting, it doesn't only make me a great director. That means even with these videos that I make for my YouTube channels, there'll be better videos. We'll be able to compete. You know, a lot of times I've seen people go like, oh, how do guys like Mr. Beast make it? You know, guys like Mr. Beast have enough money to invest in people who actually know what they're doing, that then help them to create the type of content that they create. And for me, that's just something that I want to be. And yeah, kudos to everybody who's learned by themselves. But for me, it's been a struggle to do that. And I'm just somebody who needs that school structure to stay on point. And yeah, so
to both study and make films. Education isn't necessarily just about practicing a trade. It can also be about exposing yourself to other ways of thinking, writing, creating, or watching. In other words, it can be time for experimentation.
For the question to film school or not to film school, my answer is to film school. My belief is when it comes to your dreams, and here's something that I'll always push for, is you gotta give yourself the best opportunity to achieve that dream. No excuses. Like, there's nothing in your way. It might seem impossible, but there is a way, man. There's always a way, especially if you're willing to do the work and you're willing to jump up at opportunities. So yeah, I would let you guys know whenever it starts. You might, if you subscribe to the channel, watching the videos, you will see different improvements. Let me know in the comment section on which side you stand, to film school or not to film school. And if money was not a factor, would you go to film school or would you not? I've heard the argument that invest the money that you take for film school to buy a camera and lenses and shoot something and learn. I think that's a valid way to do it, but there's a lot of challenges that come. Like, directing is just about problem solving. I've done 2 shorts now, and the main thing that you're constantly doing is your problem solving. And sometimes you're trying to problem solve a solution you don't even know. You're like, what am I supposed to do? So with that said, I hope you guys learned something from here. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave us a like, leave a comment. I'll definitely be seeing you guys in the next one.
Point is, if you decide that film school is right for you, you have options no matter where you live. So, what will you learn if you go? Film schools can be undergraduate or graduate programs at universities, colleges, and community colleges. They might be freestanding degrees at those schools, or they might be housed in other departments like English, fine arts, theater, media studies, or communications. Most film schools will teach you to both study and make films.